All right, so for our module today, we're going to talk about Latino and Hispanic learners. Just kind of an overview. I thought this was really interesting. You know, uh, Referring to individuals as either Hispanic or Latino, there is it's important to know whether or not they prefer. Based on research, Hispanic tends to have undertones of colonization, ties back to the Spaniards, with Latino being more widely accepted because it talks about more about cultural roots instead of the colonialism. But younger generations are more accepting of Hispanic. So at the end of the day, really, it's all about listen and learn from your students, ask questions. I've 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 yet to find an individual that was offended if I just earnestly asked them if they prefer to be called Hispanic or Latino or Latino. Um, Information. This is based on 2010 census. I need to update that. I did think this was really interesting. According to the U.S. Census, Latino or Hispanic can be anybody from Mexico, Cuba, Puerto Rico, South or Central America, um, and that's regardless of race. So, really crazy. If you think about, we're talking 20, 30 countries and very, very different cultural backgrounds. So, that's important to keep in mind. So the Hispanic population is one of the largest growing ethnic populations in the United States. As of 2010, the population was about 15%, and that has since gone up. So a very large part of our country. Here's just a more up-to-date uh, kind of a graph as far as Hispanic students and where they sit percentage-wise in our school. I think this is really interesting. Between 95 and 2019, you can see that that number is growing. That's again, this is based on the census, so this is based off of um, that 28% is with Hispanic Latinos, could be from any number of regions south of the United States. So we're talking individuals from Mexico all the way down to Chile is part of that group. So it's also important to be aware of just risks that our Latino learners may face. Gangs is definitely a big thing, especially in the cities. Um, Latino gangs make up 46% of the gangs in the United States, and I thought that was a really interesting statistic. It was much higher than I was expecting. Um, there's also, well, I found this sad but very interesting that suicide, unprotected sex, and cocaine use was higher with Latina individuals than with white or black youth. So just things to be aware of. Not especially uplifting slide, but it's important to know. Common legacies. Family is real big, and this, of course, will will vary from individual to individual, but um, for the most part, family is a very large aspect of Latino culture. They take care of members of the family, usually very large families, and very connected families. Cousins, what I would maybe consider more of a distant relative is just much closer. Families also tend to live in close proximity to each other. Spiritual values, religion is a support system that's not exclusive to Latina culture or Latino culture, but it's definitely a big part of it. Cultural values, important social constructs such as respect is very big, trust, fatalism, self control, and putting up with. So once again, that all kind of rolls back to that group mentality, that family mentality. Resources. I just wanted to throw these in. National education, uh, CARE, which is cultural abilities, resilience, and effort. It's worth checking out. Just kind of helps you. You know, I, Building genuine learning experiences will help out um, with any student, but especially with Latino students. Um, there's also a guide here, just some kind of pointers. Uh, Looking at lessons that require a student to identify and describe another point of view. I think that's a really cool idea, especially if you're really wanting to push culture in your classroom. Um, Also, looking at integrating literature and resources from Latino students, um, pushing that culture in, like we've talked about in other lessons, is really pushing culture into your lesson plan, giving those students something to really identify with. And also, I we talked about this in assessment, but going through and changing names to be more culturally responsive to the students that are in your class is just a big thing. Makes me think of word problems. Um, just really incorporating uh, just that culture and helping students identify. All right. This is so look into culture as an asset and not a deficit. It's huge. Um, as far as building support systems for any student, um, it's definitely important. But going back to family being such a big part of Latino culture, it's important to really get at the ground floor on this. Creating a support system, um, you know, part of that group mentality is not standing out, so encouraging Latino students to take on leadership roles. And this again it's kind of a broad statement, you know, but it's something to be looked at. Um, this is a huge one. Include family on achievements that the student has shown. Um, it's not uncommon, especially for students who have behavior issues. The parents, the only phone calls they get are not positive phone calls. They're usually about what the student has done or is not doing. So call and give those praise. Talk about the achievements that your student is having in the classroom, and that's huge. That'll really bring the parents in to the picture. To take that a step further, there's always the option of being brave and going to visit the family homes. This can be really big, and this can really help out as a long-term um, thing, as far as getting the parents engaged, showing the parent that you want to be a part of their group and their family is just the parents, obviously they have insight on things that are effective for that child. So that's a good way to do that. To just get in and get close. All right, so these are the how-to strategies. We're going to be reflecting on these in the discussion board. I don't want to read every one of these because it's quite frankly a pretty big list. But I just want you to look through these, kind of either highlight or copy a couple that you think would be good and applicable for you. And we're going to talk about it in the discussion post on our next. So for the discussion this week, um, based on the risks and common legacies. Okay, I want you to come up with a couple of the how-to strategies from the previous slide and explain how they could benefit in helping promote a positive learning environment in the classroom. So pick two, talk about based off of what we read in the slides and in the lecture. And also, I want you to, based on the video that is also in this module, I want you to answer this question. What are two aspects of Moises' video that inform you about working with Latino students? So, get that in on Thursday. Respond to a couple peers by Sunday. Guys, have a great week, and Go Chiefs!